Hi, Dr. Ruth Anderson here. Welcome to Enlightened World Network, and we have a session of Divine Relationship Recovery with Deb Goldberg. But first of all, welcome to our backyard. Doesn't this look so inviting? I just want to sit here and stare at this. I wanted to take a minute and just share a couple thoughts. It feels to me, and we've talked about this here at EWN, that when we all thought things were going to open up, we were going to have a little more flexibility, a little more freedom, folks exhaled. And now that they're saying, whoa, wait a minute, maybe we did this too soon, I'm feeling folks feeling really contracted and really frustrated and just not wanting to go back into that space of separation and isolation. And this morning, I was really feeling it, and I don't even know that it was all mine to feel. If you know what that's like, where you're feeling feelings and you're thinking, man, I think I'm feeling this for the collective. Not sure it was mine. But I got kind of a little sad. I wanted to be distracted, a little irritable. And I thought, okay, while I'm doing dishes, I just want to hear something that is affirming, life affirming, motivating, inspirational. And I started poking around on the internet, and I started getting frustrated and sad because I couldn't find anything. And guess what I found? Terry Angel doing a meditation a day today. It was on my own network, Enlightened World Network. And I thought there is such a need for Enlightened World Network to have more and more programs. So if you all are feeling the same way I was feeling, you have a place to go to watch all different kinds of shows. And if you go to Enlightened World Network on YouTube, we have almost 700 shows up. There's a lot there to choose from. There's something there for anybody who is interested in spiritual awakening. So please don't be a stranger. Please check that out. And I would say welcome home to EWN. You always have a safe community with us. You always have a home. Tomorrow morning, starting at 7:30, we have Coffee and Conversation with Terry Angel and Gerald and Heather Dale. It's a really popular show. They have a lot of folks that keep coming back. Folks are talking in the chat. It just feels like a close-knit community that is also very welcoming and very inclusive. So please find Coffee and Conversation. And then at 9 o'clock Eastern, we have the Core Connection with Mira Rubin. Her shows are always, she takes about 15, 20 minutes, shares with you her latest learning, what she's feeling guided by spirit to share. We'll find her show. And then at 9:30, we have Come to the Playground with Diane Allison Beiersdorfer. And her shows are so heartfelt, so inspiring and motivational, and a lot of healing takes place during her shows. All three great shows, a great way to start every morning of the week. So please, please find those. And as I said, welcome home. Welcome home to EWN. So Deb, you have got something planned for us today. Can't wait to hear it.
Well, thank you. And I'm so happy to be here. And Ruth is so right. There is so much beautiful programming on Enlightened World Network and Enlightened Living. So anything you're looking for spiritually wise, it's great to tune in here. And for our show today, my messages come from God, and this is what He's asked me to talk about. You must return home to understand who you are. No need to keep looking anywhere else, not outside of you or to others. So this is all about understanding that our information about ourselves is within us. It's no place else. We have a whole curriculum planned for our journey here. And I've said this before, is people can help us in understanding some of what that journey is, but nobody really knows your curriculum. And so we have to go inside to understand that. And when you go inside, whether you do that through meditating, prayer, reading scripture, walking in nature, however it is that when you are quiet, you can actually start to hear your creator speaking to you. And a lot of times you hear that in your own voice. You don't even realize that you're hearing God speak to you, which is what I call divine love, is speaking to you in your own voice. And other times people will not hear. It'll feel like it's coming up through your heart. And then your heart is translating what it is that you're hearing so that you understand. And you know when you're being spoken to, and you know when you're being spoken to by God. So being quiet allows you to go into this state of reconnecting back to your divine nature, of back into the expansion of your consciousness, into the oneness of who you are. And it is the most peaceful, loving state, because that's what it is. It's a state of being that you could ever imagine. And this is a place where you start to develop conversation. And it is all that God wants from you, is for you to be happy. And part of being happy is really developing this intimate relationship, a reciprocal relationship of conversation. And we need some quiet time to do that. And there's lots of questions that all of us we want to know the answers to. And it just takes opening your heart up and really wanting to know. And not so much asking out of ego consciousness, but it's really opening your heart up and wanting to know more about you and who you truly are. And so, like, the first question that most of us have is, who am I? Do you remember thinking that question, Ruth?
Yeah, I've thought it at several different times, because as I transform and grow throughout, well, I remember asking that question really as a kid. I remember that very clearly. And then, of course, through my teens and through different stages of adulthood. But yeah, all the time.
Yeah. And I remember asking that question about the time that I was awakened by Jesus. And I had a long drive to work every day. I would drive like 35 miles back and forth. And I went over a mountain. And the scenery was just beautiful. And I would just look in the sky, and I'd be thinking to myself, really, what is this? what is this, and who am I, and how can I live on a planet in the middle of the universe and not have any more understanding of how that is? And really, who am I that I'm standing on a planet in the middle of this in space, and this world is created? And and what really opened me up is wanting to know why I was having, because I was feeling pain in my life, emotional pain, and what I was doing to create that pain. And that is what opened me up. And Jesus walked in the door, not as Jesus Christ and through Christianity. It was Jesus, however you want to relate to him. For me, it was learning God's universal love. So whether you consider Jesus Christ, or through Christianity, or an ascended master, or Yeshua as a Jewish man, you can relate to Jesus as an ascended master. Whatever works for you, is Jesus accepts all of those, and just like God does. And so as I was awakened, I started to get taught God's universal laws and truths. And so the question of who I am was a process that took years. So I've been awake now with God and Jesus for 5.5 years. And it's still a process that unfolds. So you can understand you from a divine perspective, not the labels that you or other people have given you. And so when you sit with divine love and it teaches you who you are, you learn it is the opposite of everything that you thought you were. And this undoing process, which I've called getting spiritually reparented, it's sort of like a reprogramming of, okay, now I'm going to really tell you who you are. I'm going to show you who you are. I'm going to love you unconditionally until you believe the spiritual being that you are. And it takes a lot for us to really accept what all of that means, that we're a divine being having a human experience. And it's just as difficult to accept your divinity and who you are as it is to let go of ego consciousness. It's really an interesting dichotomy of that. Sometimes it's easier to believe the ego consciousness than it is to believe in your own divinity, your own divine nature, the oneness of you. Have you found that at all, Ruth? I know that's what I've experienced so far.
Right. Well, sometimes it feels like whiplash almost because you can go into meditation, and when I do that, when I really feel that oneness with what I call God, I know some of our viewers refer to it as, the universe or the creator or whatever. There's so much variance there. But for me, it's God. And when I go into meditation, I see myself really like sitting at the knee, right in front of God. If God had a knee, I'm seeing it. And when I do that, everything that creates a cellular structure around me that keeps me in the 3D just disappears. And I can see that I am only in spirit form. And I can stay there for a long time because it's such a calm, loving place to be. And I do feel that oneness with God when I'm there. And then to come back and kind of, re-enter the world here, sometimes it's really like whiplash. And if you're like me and like Deb, you might do that several times a day. And, so it's like, okay, sometimes it feels a little exhausting and a little confusing, but I love that feeling, that oneness.
It is so overwhelming. Many times it's brought me to tears just feeling that intensity of love. And it's not intense, it's gentleness. But you're not used to feeling that kind of love on this plane. And so this process of the more you keep going back, the more you keep going home, and through meditation or however you do this, it just keeps feeding you and feeding you and feeding you so that you remember, okay, you're remembering what you're being taught. You're remembering, oh my gosh, yes, this is who I am. I am the essence of God. I am God. God is expressing itself through me. And you have to keep going home to get filled up with that every day, because our journey is really about trusting and having faith that you are being led through this human experience always, that you're never left alone. There's no such thing as separation, but when you get caught back up in, we call it 3D, ego consciousness, into the veil of unconsciousness, everything looks so different. And so we have to return home daily just to get fed. Um, and that's a process in itself of remembering to say, okay, I need a moment during the day to collect myself and go back home again and touch base with who I know that I am to be, because as I keep walking forward in this life, you're getting pulled in all kinds of crazy directions. So, part of, I think, what Enlightened World is, what I believe it is we're also here to help people navigate that journey. And there's so many different ways that we have people come on and do shows for us and meditations, and they all connect in different ways. There's no one way to connect. Everybody connects in their own way. Everybody has their own truth. But going deeper than just receiving messages or your intuition playing a large role in what you're doing, or your divine creativity. This is about developing a relationship of one-on-one. And this is what I'm talking about, is going deeper and deeper and deeper into that relationship. And so that the trust and the faith take over much of the fears that come up inside of us. And they do come up inside of us. One of the things that I was thinking is that when I do a show, I start to get anxious because I'm thinking, oh, am I going to say the right thing? Am I going to do justice of what God is asking me to present today? And so there's a little part of me feeling that anxiety. And then there's another part of me that's saying, I know God's always there talking through me and it doesn't fail me. And so you have both of these things happening at the same time. And so I have to remind myself again that I'm always looked after. I'm being told what it is that I am to talk about. I'm giving the words. And so I want to give you a little example of that, of what happened this morning as I was talking to God and feeling some of this anxiety. And this is how beautiful things flow through. And this is why I'm trying to talk about how important it is for you to go inside and connect, so that you have like healing balm inside of you all the time for everything that comes up in you that feels uncomfortable. And so when we're talking about who am I, and one of the other questions I have on here is what is my purpose? And that came through again this morning. So as I asked God to help me with speaking his thoughts for this show, I again realized he was speaking for me. And as his beautiful words flow through my heart and my mouth, like a stream flowing out, angelic love, bringing forth the heavenly breath of God for all to drink in and remember their eternal divine home, calling everyone back to their joyful oneness to sing in union of glory and truth. I beckon you to hear me as I cry out the love of God, wanting you to receive what is yours. Your just place in this world for you are a miracle and blessing of purity, love, and light. Come home, my child, and let me love you into remembering so healing can take hold and you then can take your just place in this world. I love you. I adore you. We are one infinite love. I am yours and you are mine to cherish through eternity. And these are the things that flow out if you allow it. And this happens to be part of my purpose. But I'm sharing this with you because the gifts that are inside of you, the treasures, are nothing like what you thought they were. They're so much better than what you ever thought is possible. And when you take the time to listen, love flows through you, like what I was just saying. So he tells me that I am his divine therapist. I am a divine therapist here to administer my word so that others know there is a direct path to me and return home to love. You are my holy messenger of love. And I have been told this several different ways over the last 5.5 years. So the next question is like, what is my purpose? What am I here to do? And believe me, before I woke up, that was not even part of my thinking. I had no idea what God had in store for me for my life. And I was a therapist for 18 years, providing mental health and drug and alcohol therapy. I had no idea what was coming until I woke up and started listening, and to find out that, oh my goodness, what an amazing purpose. Now we all have an amazing purpose, whether it's large or small. Being the best mom you can be, being the best at whatever job you're doing, how you're loving your family, how you're loving your community, all of these things matter. And so there is no hierarchy of love. However you're providing it, whether it is in a big way or in a little way, it is all being felt in the way that it is supposed to. It is huge. You are touching people. You are bringing forth love and light. And we're all going to do this in a different way. So before I awoke, I just thought, okay, what I wanted to do is help people increase their happiness and their enjoyment in life and who they are, that they were more fulfilled. I had no idea it would come through a spiritual lens. I had no idea it would be by teaching about God. And so when you go inside and you start understanding this relationship and letting it cultivate you, reprogram you, undo all of the things that you believed about yourself that are not true, it is the most glorious experience that you could ever have. Now, Ruth, you have a beautiful divine relationship, and I'm sure you can attest to what you were doing before and what you're doing now, right? Your purpose.
Right. I retired after almost 30 years in public education. And what I have realized was that was all setting the stage for what I'm doing now. I got to practice the skills that I would be falling back on now. And I thought that was it. I thought that was kind of like done deal. I had no idea that there was this entire other world waiting for me to step into and make it my own. But there was a whole lot of having to reboot who I thought I was and be open to the possibilities of, gosh, there's other parts of me that I have yet to see. I know for me, I was introverted. And even though I was in school administration, I was an introvert. I don't get to be an introvert. anymore. And that was one of the biggest things for me, that I had to just let go of that which I thought I was. Another piece was I had to be willing to share my faith out loud. And I could do that with friends, couldn't really do it with family because they really weren't into that. But I had to be willing to take that onto a much broader platform. And I remember when Archangel Michael asked me to write my first book. And that was when I realized, okay, I have to either stop talking, stop thinking about this, or really be willing to let it go out into the world. And that was hard for me. That took some time to wrap my brain around. Once I was able to say, okay, fine, I'm okay, I give. I'm going to be able to talk about this. Then the walls came down and everything else opened up. And I find that I'm still being pressed at times to grow and expand and let go of the things that I still thought that I was. It is very much a journey.
It certainly is. And, I've walked through all of those fears too. And I know that as I go along, other ones keep popping up. And so God is so gentle that you are being prepared, just like Ruth said, she was being prepared all along for what she needed to do as her purpose. I was being also prepared as being a therapist and other things that I did so that I can do what I'm doing now and whatever I'll be doing going forward. So it is all preparation. It's not like, here you go. In fact, I think that I have even been told, I'd be like, oh, I'm ready, go do this, come on, put me out there. And I was told, I don't remember whether it was Jesus or John told me this, but he said that if you need to be in such a space of peace and knowing who you are, because if you just go out there and it all happens, the joy of the experience and the fear of the experience can really wipe you out. It can just take you out because you're not used to handling that level of limelight or whatever you want to call it, being thrusted out to be seen. So you're gently being cultivated to do what it is that you're called to do. You're being all of your gifts and talents are being developed and they're being polished, and you just keep growing as you go along, and stop letting time get in the way and make you feel like you're missing out on something. I promise you're not missing out on anything. You are so divinely guided, you have no idea. So where you are is purposeful. You are never going to miss out on who you're supposed to be. All you need to do is just listen within yourself and want to have that relationship. And, you have a lot of things pulling you the other way so that you don't have the time to be quiet. But everybody wakes up exactly when they're supposed to, and everybody steps into everything that they're supposed to be doing at the exact divine time. And so we feel this urge to keep pushing ourselves and saying, oh, I'm not here. I should be here. Why aren't I here? And it's because it's not your time to be there, that there's more going on within you than you understand. And that the planning of your life has already been done. You've already lived this life. There is, we all understand that this concept of time and space does not exist. So understanding, what your purpose is, you can start getting intuition about it, but when you are really having this intimate conversation with God or universe or spirit, whatever you call your creator, your higher self, you are always being moved towards it, and it starts to tell you what your purpose is, show you what your purpose is. But it's in stages. It's not like you're given the whole life plan and say, okay, in 5 years you're going to do this, and in 10 years you're going to do that. It is really letting go of doing that long-term planning that we've all learned to do, and take one day at a time and allow that day to be used exactly how it needs to be used. And eventually you will just end up where you're supposed to be. It really is so beautiful. All the connections, everything just comes into play exactly the way that it is planned to. And I keep being reminded, I'm not doing this. It is being done for me. And I'm the type of person, I am a personality, and I want to do, and I want to do, and all for like, wow, 2 years, all I kept hearing is get your hands off the wheel, get your hands off the wheel. Just do what makes your heart sing. Do the things that you really want to do. And out of that joy comes the next step. To really be in gratitude and a place of joy, you really need to witness and partake in this relationship with divine love, because it gives you a foundation of why you should be feeling joy in the first place. And that is significant.
I think it's so interesting, Deb. The way that God and Jesus work through you is different than how Archangel Michael and Archangel Raphael work through me. Mm-hmm. So I get the honey-do list. Mm-hmm. You don't. You get the go out there and be joyful, and I get the write a Facebook post about this. Or I remember when I first heard you're going to have a network. And I said, no, I'm not. And they said, yeah, you are. If you're open to this, yes, you are. And so they give me visions of what things can be. And then they give me step-by-step instructions on how to get there. So you're kind of lucky that you get to hang out. I get the, okay, now promote this show, and okay, why don't you reach out to this person and see if they want to have a show. So I don't know, it's just very different. We all have different experiences.
Yeah, and because we're on our own individual journey, and our guidance is geared to what our individual journey is about. So it wasn't like that at first. I probably 2.5 years in, I think I started getting books dictated to me by Jesus, right? So I got three books in 6 weeks, and then as soon as I finished that, I got another book by Archangel Gabriel and Michael, and then Jesus dictated 2 other books to me, and now John and Jesus are dictating another book to me. I haven't put all these books out, and they're growing with me. And it's really interesting, because at first I felt like I have to get them out. And Jesus did give me deadlines on the first 3 books. Mm-hmm. So I did get that, but it wasn't like tomorrow, like this all has to be done tomorrow. He dictated to me in February and said they need to be out in print September. So I did get those type of things. And then as I've gone along, it's been letting go of control. And then so I look at my pile of work that's always around me, and I'm like, I really should be working on that. And I'm like, what do you want me to work on? And they say, I just want you to do what makes you happy today. So you pick any one of those things to work on, and it's going to be okay. And so mine is, yeah, so I more now like, okay. And it's easy to fall into getting your day away from you, right? Because a lot of people deal with that they have all these good intentions for the day and then nothing gets done. And so there's a practice that happens of really trying to understand yourself. I had a lot of resistance going on in me that would stop me, like did not want to sit down and do the work of putting these books out. And it was very uncomfortable to deal with that resistance inside of me all the time, that I was getting in a fight with myself and saying like, okay, I am sitting down at 10 o'clock tomorrow and I am doing this. And I'm going to sit at my desk and I'm going to work from 10 to 4 and I'm going to do this. And after a while, I was like, part of this is learning to be very gentle with myself and not getting into this fight within myself of resistant energy or force. So I do the best I can each day, and I do a little bit of what I can do, and I stopped filling my day up with, because I was a workaholic and I can still be a workaholic, and I've backed off of that. So that's my journey. It's going to be different for every single person. And that's why I can't tell you what is best for any one of you. My message is go inside and let God tell you what is best for you. And that's another one of the questions. What's in my highest good, right? What is in my highest good? And that's a beautiful question to ask. And the answers that you hear are just amazing. And you can ask that all day long as actually life starts to happen each day and things come up and you do ask, what is in my highest good for this particular situation? Whatever's in your highest good is in everybody else's highest good. That's just kind of the way that it works.
No, I'm sorry, Deb, one thing you keep bringing up in different ways, this takes time. This developing the relationship, listening as well as sharing your concerns, it all takes time, building that relationship. And at least for me, I know if I don't carve out sacrosanct time that no one can sneak into, it doesn't happen. Because if I get going with my day, it is so hard to stop and come back to that place. So I just do that first thing in the morning. I always set my alarm for before the family is going to get up, and I call it mine.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I have to do the same thing too, because my day it'll just go off, and it is difficult then to pull myself back. And really, because I want to sit for at least an hour, I want to journal whatever I'm hearing in my meditation. And once the day's gone, and then I get tired towards the end of the day. So I don't have the energy that I want to sit in meditation. And even though it is revitalizing to meditate, it's just not something that fits into my world. So I also do it in the morning. And it sets my day off right. And then during the day, I'm checking in. I'm trying to hear. I'm trying to listen. I keep asking for help in staying present all day long. I just put a thing into the angels, and I'm like, okay, I need your help in keeping me present all day. That I do not forget what I've been taught, and that I stay there. And for the most part, I stay there a lot, but it doesn't mean that I don't move out of that state of being into ego consciousness or whatever. Like Mother's Day, I had all kinds of things flying up inside of me, and I became witness to all of it, and just watched old constructs come up again. And I was like, wow, like I haven't seen that for a really long time. And where did that come from? It just needed to come up so it could be healed. And healing is loving yourself. It is just accepting all of that within yourself, loving yourself, knowing that there's no truth to that, but those parts of you still believe those things that are not true. And you can't force yourself to believe something that's not true. You can't even force yourself to accept your divinity. It's all time. It is your life journey, and to help you have your hand held with unconditional love and grace is the most fantastic thing that you could ever experience.
Well, I'll tell you, there is nothing like a worldwide pandemic to show you the mirror of what your issues are. What a crazy time to be alive and walking with spirit, being able to see this reflection of, wow, that's what I'm holding on to in my heart, in my mind. Wow, can we let that go? Because that's not so pretty. I don't want to keep that part of me.
Mm-hmm. Right. And so one of the things that I've learned is that we are a divine spirit. That's what we are. This human experience has you feel that, okay, so I'm divine and I'm human. And you try to figure out ways to understand what is going on here. Your divine spirit having a dream, period, end of conversation. But while you're here, it feels real. And so you have this alternate consciousness that we call ego, that creates a veil of you forgetting who you are. And it's all purposeful. It is all purposeful for the experience. And that there's really only one of you. There's only one. It's oneness. It's God. That's it. And then we see multiple people and we're like, how does this work? And I got so caught up in trying to understand, how do you do this, God? How does this work? And it just fascinates me, like everybody else. Like, how does this work? And so all you get is myths. You get myths because nobody can understand how this works. It just is. So we have come along with this for this experience of feeling like there's different parts of ourselves, yet we're whole. And these parts of us that aspects of ourselves, like what I was seeing Mother's Day coming back up, they're parts of me that are there and that I need to integrate. And it does not change my wholeness of being a spiritual being. It's just what we're here to do during this experience, is understand your completeness, that you are complete and whole because of who your divine nature is. Yet we look at all of this other aspects of ourselves and it says, you feel like, oh my God, I'm a mess, right? What's this? What's that? I am a hot mess. And you're not a hot mess and you're not broken. Just sit and understand that there's all these different aspects that need to be integrated for the experience. It does not change your divinity at all. In fact, I was trying to come up with what's a really good way to explain this. You're divinely human for the experience. And that the more you accept how this experience rolls, the easier it gets. And when you are in this, I call it Holy Communion with God, when you are in that intimate relationship, then you can learn to roll with the experience, love the experience, love who you are, love the life that you have been given, and also learn that you have so much power as a creator in this experience. And it is all about, how do I experience myself? Every moment is an opportunity to see me. What is my perspective of me, and what is my perspective of what's going on out in the world? And unless you have divine love teaching you all the way, and hearing it and being in relationship with it, it makes it really difficult to have a human experience, because you need divine love's eyesight to see yourself and everybody else in a different way.
Well, one of the things I so appreciate about that divine perspective, looking at yourself, it's not judgmental.
Mm-mm.
And what a gift, because we're so judgmental of ourselves, and frankly, we're so judgmental of other people. What a gift to just feel that divine love that just loves you.
Mm-hmm. Right. And to stop picking on yourself for judging, to stop picking on yourself for everything that you think about yourself, because everything you pick on yourself about, you're going to throw that out into your outer experience. You're going to project it onto other people, and then you're going to have to look at it all the time. And the more you learn to have grace for yourself, that there's nothing wrong with you, created perfectly, exactly who you are. And this is all part of accepting that right now, right here, who I am divine perfection, and there is absolutely nothing wrong with me other than what I perceive is wrong with me.
You know, I wrote down the notes, and this really should be a meme on Facebook. You are not a hot mess. You are not broken.
Yeah, it's true, because a lot of people believe that, especially today, with more stressors out there. And that is the way that I believed about myself until God got a hold of me. and taught me differently, that is not a way to view yourself. And then, of course, I was blessed with good friends around me that reminded me of, oh, this is something you're trying to shift inside yourself, to not perceive yourself in the way that you do, because you're not looking at yourself through a clear lens. You're looking at yourself through ego consciousness. And anything you look at through that is not correct. Yet, it's there for a purpose, and there's nothing wrong with it. It's just part of our human experience right now.
Yeah, no, I so appreciate this step. This whole come home to yourself. It's beautiful.
Yeah, that's the whole journey home. Because when as you go along, you're recognizing your oneness with God, and you're coming home to yourself. You are coming home to yourself, and that's a lot to really kind of take in intellectually. Is that I'm coming home to me, to my divine nature. I was trying to even think about, how do you describe consciousness? And of course, Jesus has explained it to me as a state of being. And it's joy, it's unconditional love, it's awareness. But he said it is so much more than that. This is infinite intelligence. It is eternal life. So if you can imagine an ocean, or an infinite sea that is just a space, energy, it's all love. And that's what everything is. And you could also look at it as consciousness. Sometimes it helps me think of it as a mind, that it's just infinite intelligence, creativity. And through that, pours out all of this that we see around us. You're just seeing a reflection of consciousness. And that is a lot to take in.
It is. And as you were saying it, what I was actually seeing was this sea that it was like as deep and as wide as it was long. You know, everything became, it was almost like sacred geometry, just certainly not one dimensional. You know, it was beautiful.
Yeah. Yeah. So, the more you spend time at your real home inside your heart, you will learn what God wants to teach you, what you need to know for your experience, for your journey. I was even told that we also have an earth story that we're all part of collectively, and it's healing the earth. Okay, that's part of the story. And your individual story is healing you, coming into your purpose. And I was told that nothing's more important than your individual journey. The collective journey is very important of moving towards the story that we're all doing together of healing the earth. But your individual journey is number one.
Yes, that's interesting. Because I'm thinking there's some people, like our own Mira Rubin, that her personal journey is the sustainability piece.
Mm-hmm.
So she's doing both in one, where that may not be such a big piece of your journey or my journey. Interesting.
Yeah. Yeah. So going home and being taught from within will always take you to where you'll have a better understanding of what is going on in your life, a different way of viewing things, a different way of valuing yourself, honoring yourself for the magnificent being that you are, that nobody's taught you, that you didn't know is there.
I appreciate this, Deb, because I'm thinking of my own daughters. I'm thinking of your own grandchildren and how we can support them while they are having these experiences and figuring out who they are.
Yeah. I think, right now, what a great time to learn how to meditate and do it as a family. That's a family thing that people can do together. And you might get, if you have teenagers and stuff, you might get bucked at a lot to that, not wanting to do that. But if you have little ones, oh my goodness, what a great time to say, you know what, we're going to try something new and we're going to meditate together and let it become a normal for them so that they can start connecting with their own being and being guided and understanding the light that they are. I could tell people that as much as I can, that they are magnificent, that they are divine, that they have love inside of them more than they ever could have imagined. And it doesn't mean the same coming from me as when God's telling it to you, or Jesus is telling it to you, or the angels are telling it to you. And so hearing it from within changes everything.
And I'm also reminded that a lot of folks need help in knowing how to listen, how to hear that. And that's what we do at Enlightened World Network, is we provide meditation time every single day to help folks have that place to go inward and upward to where they can be listening to things. And I'm also thinking, Deb, of E.W. Little's, which is one of the shows that we want to bring to the table here at Enlightened World, and including meditation time and story time for little ones. E.W. Little's is for like 2 to 6 years old, but teaching them how to meditate as part of those offerings.
That would be a beautiful offering. Yes, because I think that needs to become more common, more normal, as and that there's different levels of meditations as children grow in age, so that they're growing with their meditation. And we do have somebody saying, so what we do with our individual vibration and belief system within reflects in our world around us totally.
Absolutely.
Because all you have to do is be peaceful, connected into your divine nature, be in a state of love, and you are doing more for the planet than doing anything. You don't have to go out and do something. Just being in a state of love and joy and spreading it, feeling happy, feeling joyful, feeling gratitude, that shifts the world. We're so used to doing, and some of us are doers, but I have to remind myself, and I get told that every day, I just want you to be happy. That's God's message. I just want you to be happy, because happy shifts the world.
Yes, yes, I appreciate that comment. Absolutely. Whatever we're putting out in the world is impacting everybody around us. No question.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So this has been an awesome show, and I am really happy to bring these every Wednesday at 5 and on this beautiful platform that you've created, Ruth, and share God's word of what it is that he wants people to know, that he wants you to come home. He wants you to come home to your heart and let him take care of you. Let him be this mother, father, God. Let him take care of you and all of your needs. And that's a whole nother show of that. I'm always taken care of, always. All I have to do is just ask, and it is provided. Even toilet paper. I'm like, okay, there's none, but I know that you're going to, it's going to be there when I need it. And it is. There's just one sitting right there in the grocery store, where whatever you need is always being provided for. The divine love is, I don't know, a gazillion steps ahead of you. Already knows what you're going to ask for. Already knows what you need.
I'm looking forward to that show, Deb.
It's beautiful. So, in saying goodbye, I don't know if Ruth, you want to add anything else before we leave?
I'm just so grateful to you, Deb, I know for you to come out of that space. I know you were born, raised Jewish, and so to come to that place of, I work with Christ daily, was huge for you. But thank you for those years ago, crossing your own line to put yourself out there, because we are so benefiting from the fact that you did that. So thank you.
My pleasure. My pleasure. Thank you, thank you, thank you for creating this platform for me and others, light workers, to do this. And I appreciate that, because I didn't have an easy time accepting all of this either. To even talk about God it's a big deal, and it feels good. It feels so good to be in alignment with my true self, and to come on here Wednesdays and talk about God in the way that I know God. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It feels wonderful.
Welcome home.
Thank you. Yes, that's what Enlightened World Network is. Welcome home, everyone.
Right.
So we say goodbye for now, knowing we are one love, protected and held in divine order by our Creator. Go out this day in this awareness, and allow God's peace and joy to occupy every thought. Lead with your heart and welcome everyone home, for all are loved. Have a great day, and God bless you all. Bye-bye.
Nicely done.